How's it going? I'm Visionary. This is Visionary Dex, and today we're going to be taking a look at the final day of card reveals for the brand new LOR expansion, Fates Voyage Onward. Starting off with our final champion, Volibear. All right, here's the trailer. Dude, the art looks sick. Is this his level 1 art? That is his level 1 art. Okay, so here is Volibear. It looks like he has a skill. Is that what this is? This is a skill, which is interesting because we already saw a whole breakdown of all the elemental skills that were coming out this expansion, and this was not on there. I don't remember this being on there, so I assume they just kept this a secret because obviously it would have spoiled that Volibear was in fact going to be in this expansion. But Volibear is a 9 mana 10/10 on play. He plays this skill Relentless Storm 3 times. Each one targets a different random enemy or the enemy nexus if none. Okay, and Relentless Storm says deal 4 to a unit. If it's dead or gone, deal 2 to the enemy nexus instead. Okay, so it's like a Riptide Rex Cannon Barrage style effect. It is elemental, which means if you play something like Deluge, it's going to do more damage to the unit or to the nexus. So it's good to know. And his level up is on round end. You've dealt 50 plus damage. And so he can level up in hand or in your deck because he doesn't have to be on board to see you deal all that damage. That is good to know. So he's really just like a Riptide Rex, basically. Dude, is he going to be a champion we play with Jhin? Forget Riptide Rex Jhin. Volibear Jhin, dude. All right, let's keep watching the trailer. Let's see exactly how he works and what other new cards we're going to be looking at today. Looks like there was a spell that summons the Sigil landmarks. That's kind of cool. I think it was like 3 mana. That's really not that bad. That might be the best Sigil card at the moment. And here we get to see how they combine. Wait. Wait. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to try not to pause this trailer too much, but hold on. There were 2 on board. This snake's ability is it summons 3, and they're all supposed to combine. 2 plus 3 is 5, right? So why is it now just 3? Oh, because it discounted the cost of the snake. Okay, never mind. Forgive me. I was like... 2 plus 3 is 5, but okay. The first 2 disappeared because they discounted the snake. That makes sense. Looks like we had a new buff. That's hype. 2 mana? Is that a 2 mana buff? 2 mana plus 1 plus 3? It's not bad at all. That's what that is. That's actually very good. Oh my gosh, dude. 4 mana Volibear. That's insane. Okay, so he does 12 damage whenever you play him, basically. That is 12 out of 50 on this level up. His voice is so weird, dude. I would have expected it to be like a little more, I don't know, unique. A little bit scarier. It just sounds like a normal person. Alright, here's the level up. Dang. That's legit. Alright. His level 2 art's is pretty sick, I have to say. It feels so weird to be looking at Volibear as a LOR card. It's just so weird. It's always so weird when you know a card is coming, and then you finally see it as a card. Okay, so he levels up. He's 9 mana, 11/11, Overwhelm. Is he Overwhelm on his first level as well? I don't remember if he was. He's not. So he gains Overwhelm on his second level. And it looks like he says other allies have Overwhelm. So when he levels up, your entire board just has Overwhelm. That's crazy. That's very big. Okay, so whenever he's on board, your entire board has Overwhelm. Play and attack. Play Relentless Storm 3 times. That's so crazy. So he becomes, on his level 2, basically like a Riptide Rex and a Talia with Overwhelm all in one. Although actually, okay, so it says each one targets a different random enemy. I thought it was going to say when he attacks, it targets his blocker. It doesn't. So he's not exactly like Talia. Like, you could attack with Volibear, and all of his skills just target things that the opponent was not even ever going to block Volibear with, you know? But that's still decent. I don't know. It's... I guess since everything has Overwhelm, it doesn't really matter. Because, like, no matter what... The opponent can't chump block, right? That's the important thing. No matter what the opponent blocks, all of his skills are still converting into Overwhelm damage because your entire board has Overwhelm. So it doesn't really, I guess it doesn't really matter that it isn't targeting his blocker specifically. That's sick, honestly. This is maybe the like strongest game ender champion in the game now. It has to be, right? This is like a combination basically of multiple cards like Riptide Rex, like Talia, that were already good on their own. And now they're just all combined into one. So like he has to be good. He's got to be the best game ender we have at the moment. That is crazy. Wait, what is this? What is this? What does that spell? Deal 4 to everything? That was like a ruination, basically. Or like an ice quake. Clash of Giants. Wait, is that Feel the Rush for followers? That's Feel the Rush for followers, isn't it? It's like summon 2 titans. Is that what that card does? Dude. It's 16 cost, too. All right, we'll get to that card in a moment. But there he is. There's Volibear. The final set of cards for this expansion. There they are. Let's take a look at them. Honestly, sick trailer. I'm hyped. Let's take a look at Volibear a little more in depth, and then we'll get on to all these other new cards. And then the expansion's tomorrow. We're so close. All right, so starting off with Volibear, obviously he's a good card, right? Like, there's no doubt he's a good card. When I saw this whole Sigil of the Storm archetype where you're just, like, cheating out big cards earlier for less mana, I really thought he was going to be at least 10 mana. I was thinking maybe even, like, Watcher levels of, like, a 17 mana unit, just to sort of force you to play the Sigil of the Storm archetype if you really do want to play Volibear. But it is, like, interesting to see that he's just a 9 mana champion. Like, again, Aurelion Sol is 10 mana, and he's still, as a game ender, playable. He's definitely very slow, but he's still playable. And Volibear is 1 mana cheaper. In some ways, probably more effective at ending games, assuming you can just level him up. That is, I think, the one biggest setback for Volibear is, can you deal 50 damage by the time you get him on board? The problem is, if you're ramping him out, he's still going to be stuck in his level 1 for probably a couple of turns. There's not a lot of ways to like simultaneously get Volibear on board like turn 6 and also have dealt 50 damage. That's a lot of damage. 50 damage is insane. That is a lot of damage. So I think the way they've designed him is you're not really supposed to be able to level him up until like turn 9, maybe even turn 10, which I think is fair. So if you really want to, you can get him on board. And of course, once you get him on board, he's going to start striking for 10. Every time he strikes for 10, you're going to get a lot closer to that 50 damage. When you play him, he's going to do 12 out of 50 just off of the skills alone, which is also solid. So I don't know. Maybe it is not that hard. Like, let's say you play him, you strike with him. That's 22 out of 50. That means you only have to have 28 out of 50 before you drop him if you want to level him on his first strike. That's pretty good. But again, that's going to be leveling him on his strike, so you don't even get like the benefit of him having Overwhelm. You don't get the benefit of him playing his skills on attack, all of the cool level stuff that comes with his level 2. I guess he could level up on strike and then give the rest of your board Overwhelm, which is something to consider since he does have that aura effect where every unit has Overwhelm. There is still some value to him just leveling mid-combat off of that 10 damage strike. But it definitely seems like if you're playing a Volibear deck, you want to be playing Avalanche. You want to be playing cards that just do massive amounts of damage. Avalanche, Ice Shard, Fracture. I do have a feeling like the best Volibear deck is probably going to be pretty boring, but I'm just curious, like, what are the different paths you could take in trying to build a Volibear deck? Obviously, most of your deck is probably going to be ramp, but as far as hitting that damage requirement, I think that is very important, and I think there's like multiple strategies you could use to get there. There is just like swarm the board with units, because every time a unit hits face, that's going to deal damage, so that counts. There's also the board wipe strategy with cards like Avalanche. There's the self-damage strategy, which is, you know, Watchful Idol, cards like that. Are there any other strategies? I feel like Jhin is probably a viable strategy as well. Like, Volibear's entire package synergizes really well with Jhin. The only problem is that means you're basically playing mono Freljord. I don't think there are any followers in Jhin's package that really work well with Volibear's package, unfortunately. I guess you could be playing Riptide Rex and Volibear. Riptide Rex is not a Titan, unfortunately. That means you can't cheat Riptide Rex out unless you buff him. Maybe you play Omen Hawk. And then that Riptide Rex, now that it's an 8/6, because it got buffed by Omen Hawk, is discountable by your Sigils of the Storm. I don't know, maybe there is something to playing Jhin. You ramp out Riptide Rex. Riptide Rex basically pays for himself because not only does it get discounted by Sigil, assuming you have Berserker Ursine on board, who does create a Sigil of the Storm for every skill. Riptide Rex, I think, plays 7 Cannon Barrages, is that correct? He plays 7 Cannon Barrages. So not only is Riptide Rex just a good card, he is going to discount the next unit you play by 7. So you basically play Riptide Rex at a discounted rate, and then your Volibear that you bring out after Riptide Rex is 2 mana. Yeah, I don't know. If you're playing Berserker Ursine, I would actually say Jhin Volibear is a very decent package. I wasn't sure if it was all going to come together, but the fact that Volibear himself has skills just makes him work so well with Jhin. He plays 3 skills, and once Volibear starts attacking, game over. Like, Jhin having all of Jin's abilities to stun, deal damage to stunned enemies, and also your entire board has Overwhelm. If you have leveled Volibear and leveled Jhin, the opponent basically just doesn't get to block. And if they don't get to block, they're dead. Unless they're playing, like, Harsh Winds, there is no way they're surviving a single attack from you, because Volibear is just so game-ending on his own. I really do think there's something to a Volibear Jhin deck. I might honestly end up trying to build that day one and just see how it goes. Seems like it could be a fun time. I'm definitely not an anti-Jhin enjoyer, but I am an enjoyer of, like, niche, strange Jhin decks, and this seems like one of them. This definitely seems like one of them. Let's go ahead and put Volibear in this tier list. I'm going to have to put him in S tier. I will put him in S tier. I wasn't sure if he was going to make the cut because it is very difficult for an expensive champion to be good. There are very few expensive champions that are, like, actually good champions. But because he's in Freljord, because he has such a power, he has so much going on. Not only is he a 10-10, which is, like, enough on its own to be pretty good. A 9-mana 10-10 is not terrible. He's got the skills on play. He's got the skills on his level 2 attack. He's got Overwhelm. He's got all allies have Overwhelm. There's just, like, what's not to love about Volibear? He is a game ender. He is quite possibly the single scariest unit in the game now. S tier. S tier for sure. All right, moving on to Volibear's champ spell, Stormbringer, an 8-mana Freljord elemental spell. Deal 4 to all units except Titanic allies. Okay, I saw something was happening in the trailer where, like, it did damage to specific units and not other units. Now we know why. That is big. That is very big, actually. Deal 4 to all units except Titanic allies. Now, it is 8 mana. Is it better than Icequake? That's, like, the first question I think we need to consider. Icequake is deal 3 to all units, including Titanic allies, but it is also give all units -3 attack. Is that -3 attack really necessary? I would say no. This is 1 more damage. It has a condition where it doesn't do any damage to the units that you're trying to keep on board. And all you're losing is that all units have -3, which was not even that good in the first place because it makes your own units have -3. Honestly, Icequake was, like, never even really a card that people main decked in the first place, so it's not like Stormbringer has too much to compete with in Icequake as a card. I think this is absolutely just, like, better Icequake. But it is still 8 mana, which I think was the biggest drawback of Icequake, is just that you could probably just Avalanche. There's not a lot of scenarios where, like, an Avalanche would be too small to deal with the board that Stormbringer is dealing with. I don't know. This doesn't seem that crazy to me. I would say this is a pretty, like, mid card. It's like a massive improvement on Icequake. Don't get me wrong. Like, huge improvement on Icequake. Much more playable. But the fact still stands that it's 8 mana. I'm going to go ahead and say B tier. I would say it's a B tier card. It's definitely not bad. The fact that it is better than Berserker Ursine is pretty funny. And I actually do stand by that. I think Berserker Ursine is pretty bad, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not a crazy card. It's 8 mana. That's pretty slow. That's pretty expensive. It's not like this whole Sigil of the Storm package is going to help you cheat out this card for cheaper. But because you are playing the whole cheat out big units package, you are playing ramp, you are playing mana cheating, there's a chance you're just going to have a bunch of leftover mana. I don't think it's an unplayable card by any means in a Volibear deck, especially as a champion spell. It's definitely decent, but at the end of the day, it's still 8 mana. That's a B tier. All right, moving on to Sky Splitter. Give an ally +1/+3 this round. That's what Sky Splitter does? There have been a couple cards this expansion, I have to say, Where just like based on the name of the card and the card art, the ability just feels so out of place. This is one of them. Is it a good card? Abso-freaking-lutely. This might be better than Troll Chant. I don't know if it is better than Troll Chant because giving the opponent -2 attack is still very big. Now, in standard mode, we do not actually have Troll Chant at the moment, so this doesn't really have anything comparable to compete with. I would say compared to, like, Here to Help, this is probably a better card just because it's more consistent. But I really do like Here to Help being able to give +2/+3. +2 attack is just such a big deal. A lot of the time, +1 attack on your unit is not going to make a huge difference because the opponent's already playing around things like Pytos, Ice Shard. They're already like used to having to play around 1 damage pings. So it's very rare that the opponent's going to put like their Samira or their Nasus in a situation where he's 1 HP away from dying, right? And then you can be like, haha, I play Sky Splitter, your unit dies. Like, it's very rare that that's going to happen with any unit that you're going to be happy to get a trade with. Whereas, like, your opponent's probably a little more comfortable letting their unit go down to 2 HP, which is where Here to Help could be kind of insane. Again, your unit has to be damaged, which I don't think is that bad in a Volibear deck. And I think in, like, a Freljord ramp archetype, since you're playing Avalanche, you're playing Ice Shard, you're playing so many damage the entire board spells, Here to Help is basically just this card, but better. Because a lot of the time, your units are just going to be damaged, and then you just get +2/+3 instead. I think Here to Help is just going to be the better buff card. It's either that or Elixir of Iron, but I don't know. It's a pretty mediocre card. I'm throwing this one in C tier. I don't think it's that special, personally. There are already so many buffs in Freljord. It's got so much to compete with. It's meh. It's very meh. All right, moving on to the next spell, a 3-mana slow spell, Invocation of Thunder. It says draw 1 and summon a Sigil of the Storm. I mean, this is by far the best card that can create a Sigil of the Storm. By far. Better than the 3-drop unit. Better than the big snake. Way better than Berserker Ursine, although you might play this in a Berserker Ursine deck. The fact that this draws 1 is huge. There is not a spell in the game that is ramp and draw besides Winter's Touch, but like that doesn't count because you can't draw and ramp at the same time with that one. You have to pick one or the other. So the fact that this does both at the same time is huge. This does not ramp into bigger spells, but it does ramp into bigger units. And I think for like a Volibear deck and for most ramp decks, that is good enough. This is very, very strong. I think this is a good enough card. This is just going to become like a standard ramp card. You're going to play this in ramp decks. This is nice. This is very nice. This is like very, very, very good. And you know what? I guess this makes a Jhin deck a little bit more feasible with Volibear because now you have like an actually playable ramp spell that activates Jhin. I think this is it. I think this is what seals the deal of Jhin Volibear being playable. I don't know if it's what seals the deal of it being a good deck, but like this allowing you to simultaneously activate Jhin, add 1 Sigil of the Storm, and draw 1 is a lot for 3 mana. That is a lot of value. Again, this is not just like normal ramp. This only works towards units, which does make Sigil of the Storm just worse ramp in a lot of ways, but I think this is S tier. I think it's an S tier card. Just the fact that it draws 1 makes it very good. You're always going to be happy to have this card in your hand. It's just good. It's just a good card. It's S tier, dude. That is an S tier card if I've ever seen one. All right, moving on to a 4-mana 3/2 with Tough. Dude, look at the bear. No, the bear. He looks so sad. Probably because he's dead. Probably because there's a bear kebab. So she's a 3/2 with Tough for 4 mana. When you play an elemental spell or skill, Forge Me. Wait, what? Just win. Not even like the first time this round. Just whenever you play one. Forge Me. And it has Tough. That's big. That is very big. That is extremely big. Not only is this unit just like good with the Sky Splitter buff that we just saw, actually I guess that makes Sky Splitter now worth playing. Because I don't think there are a lot of other buffs, if any, that are elemental. So I guess it's a reason to play Sky Splitter in... Okay, maybe Sky Splitter's better than I gave it credit for. Like, you play this on board, you play Sky Splitter on this. This goes from 3-2 to 5-5 in 2 mana. That is a big jump. That is a big leap. That is a lot of stats just out of nowhere. So that essentially makes Sky Splitter itself 2 mana +2/+4. That's big. With this card, Sky Splitter is absolutely worth playing. Without this card, I don't know if it is. But this card actually is so strong because it has tough built in, which means it's great with cards like Fracture, cards like Ice Shard, even cards like Avalanche, even though it will take damage from Avalanche. This is probably just never going to die to an Avalanche. Now, you do have to keep in mind, if your goal is to level up Volibear, every time this gets hit with an Ice Shard or gets hit with something that does 1 damage, it's not going to count because it does not take damage from Ice Shard, from Fractured. This is not going to help you level up Volibear anytime sooner. The only way it's going to help you level up Volibear is by striking. That is it. It is very important to mention that this does work with all of the Frostbite spells. This is a very big card, not just for ramp decks, not just for Volibear decks, but also for Ashe decks. This is a huge card for Ashe decks. This is a card that is probably going to help you hit Reputation. It is very, very easy to get this to 5 attack. Because again, all Frostbite spells, not some of them, all Frostbite spells are elemental. And every time you play a Frostbite spell, this gets +1/+1. That is a very good ability to have. Now, this does also work with skills. So if you did play Volibear himself, this would get +3/+3. That is huge. If you already have like 2 of these guys on board and you play Volibear, game is kind of over before Volibear even levels, because all of a sudden you have a 10/10 and these guys are like at least 6 attack. That's big. That's a big deal. Dude, this is a good card. This is a very good card. This is an uncapped ability that you can just activate as many times as you can manage to get out. I mean, that has to be S tier. That has to be an S tier card. Basically, any card that has an uncapped ability like that is just going to be S tier, unless it's Berserker Ursine. Rest in peace, little buddy. Moving on to the final card of the expansion, Clash of Giants. 16 mana, slow speed from Freljord. You cannot play this unless you have some sort of cost reduction shenanigans happening. Summon 2 random Titanic followers. It's literally Feel the Rush, but for followers. I love this. This is so good for the game, I think. I think Feel the Rush was a fantastic card. I think it was very fun, but it was just slightly too unbalanced in the fact that it would summon from your deck and it would also summon champions. This being changed to just summon random units, as well as not champions, but just followers, is a very good change. Also, this being 16 mana makes it like a little bit more difficult to play. It looks like it says, I cost 1 less for each elemental spell or skill you've played this game, max 10. So the cheapest you could possibly get this card on its own is 6 mana. That's very decent. And it costs 1 less for each elemental spell or skill. So you just play Volibear. This will be 13 mana. It is playable turn 10. You bank your spell mana. You have 10 mana. In addition to that, 13. You can play this. So, I mean, that's not bad. The fact that this is playable as soon as Volibear hits the board is good. I like that. I do like this. I think it's better for the game. I think it's better for content creation. We love that RNG. Honestly, I think it's just thematically better. I was tired of all the coolest cards in the game being K-pop themed. You know, that whole like limited event didn't end up being so limited because literally every single card from the KDA event was just like the best card in the game. I mean, ramp decks have already proven that a card like Feel the Rush is just a very good card on its own. This is basically the same thing. I don't think it's going to be worse than Feel the Rush by much. I think it is S tier. I think it is absolutely S tier. It is definitely a slightly more balanced version of Feel the Rush, but I like it. I think it's good. I very much enjoy this card. But that is it for today's card reveals, as well as all card reveals for this expansion. I will be live tomorrow on Twitch at 2 p.m. PST, building new decks, checking out all of the new champions, messing around, building with meme cards. It's going to be a good time. I hope to see you there. Until then, let me know your thoughts on these cards down in the comments below, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.